welcome to our weekly buy-to-let market update. Thank you so much for joining us. The sun's going to be out again today. I'm going to spend another day gazing longingly at it out of my office window. I hope at least some of you are going to get out and enjoy the weather before apparently it snows. Who can figure with the English weather? What we've got for you today, we've got our usual lender update. There's some really interesting changes in terms of pricing, some really good new rates that have been released, and also some criteria changes which I'm going to share with you. I'm then going to just update you on some changes with regards to the government Green Home Grants voucher scheme. And then we're going to talk to you a bit more about the property market, and lastly give you some tips in terms of where people are looking to invest when it comes to buying holiday lets. So lots of great stuff to cover off today. Okay, so lenders this week. It has been a busy week for the lenders, mainly in the specialist end of the market. First of all, we've seen Lendingvest release 3 new special edition 5-year fixed rates, which start from 3.29%. They've got one rate at 65% loan to value, one at 70 and one at 75% loan to value. Maximum loan on the 2 higher loan to value products is 1 million. On the 65% loan to value product, it is 1.5 million pounds. These rates are available to SPVs, limited companies, and also individuals. Now, Lendingvest do not mind how many properties you've got in the background. They will give you up to 20 mortgages as long as this equates to no more than £3 million worth of borrowing. And they don't have a minimum income requirement either, apart from if you're looking to take one of their 80% loan to value products, in which case they need you to be earning £40,000 a year. Now, in terms of the properties that Lendingvest are okay to lend on, they're fine with flats over commercial. It would be subject to valuer's comments, okay? So yes, they can lend on flats over commercial, but if the valuer goes out and says actually the commercial element of the building is really going to impact resaleability or lettability, they're probably not going to lend. So it will really be driven by what the commercial actually is, and also the location of the property. So to give you a fairly kind of binary example, a flat over a estate agent on the King's Road in London would be very desirable. A flat over a chip shop in the King's Road in London, not so desirable. Likewise, you can look at locations as well. So lenders tend to be much more open to flats over commercial in more prime areas, basically. Now, they'll also lend on listed buildings, and they accept up to 15% flying freehold. Now, if you haven't come across the flying freehold situation before, essentially if you imagine you have 2 houses next to each other, and your house, the upstairs of the property, extends over the property next door. So one of the bedrooms, for example, just goes across into the footprint, as it were, of the next door property. And that is the flying freehold. The bit that goes over the next door property is the bit that flies over, essentially. Now, what you will find is that some lenders simply will not accept any kind of flying freehold, and that's because of concerns about responsibility for maintaining that part of the building. So, for example, in the situation scenario I just gave you, for that bit of the property that goes over next door's property, you obviously need next door's property to be structurally sound. You need the roof to be repaired, everything to be kind of, looked after. But actually, who is responsible for that property? Because ultimately, the person who owns the rest of the building would be looking to really be responsible for any structural issues. So that's why lenders are quite nervous about these. Now, in terms of the lenders that will lend on these flying freehold properties, every lender will say, we're okay with it, but the bit that flies over the next door adjoining property can be no more than X% of the overall floor plan of our security. And this varies from 10% up to 25%. I think you'll be hard pushed to find a lender who would do more than 25% flying freehold. Lendingvest, they accept 15%, so that's good news. Now, they also accept in terms of tenants, DSS tenants, and also company lets. Now, we talked about Lendingvest last week, I think. They're quite busy at the moment in terms of their repricing, which is why their name keeps coming up. Not because I've got any real kind of preference towards them over any other lender. But just to really say that we really like Lendingvest. They're definitely one of the newer lenders who are pioneering the use of technology in terms of shaking up, I guess, the mortgage application processing. So, for example, they're using open banking to kind of try and expedite things. So, really, really good lender, and some very good pricing from them that's come out in the last week. Now, we've also seen Paragon release some 80% mortgage products. Now, here is the rub with these. These are only available for properties with an EPC rating of A to C. And this is really, really all part of what you're going to see going forwards over the coming 12 months. This is going to become more of a thing. It's where lenders are really looking at their approach to green mortgages is really how it's been termed. So lenders are really looking to drive up behaviours and approach in the market in terms of the responsibility on to the environment. The housing market as a whole really does contribute hugely to the negative impact of damage on the environment. So lenders are really looking at their own kind of approach and how they can drive better behaviours. And so actually releasing a product which is only available on certain rated EPC rating properties is actually not a new thing. Lenders have been doing this for at least, the last 6 months now. We're going to see more and more lenders coming into this space. So what these lenders are all doing is saying, well, okay, if you're going to take a mortgage with us, if you have an EPC rating which is very, very high, you can have this product. But actually, if your EPC rating is lower, that's okay too, but the pricing is going to be higher. So it's all about driving people to have better EPC ratings. We've also seen some lenders who are saying, well, okay, we're absolutely going to give you, a financial incentive for making improvements to your property to make it more environmentally friendly as well. This is just going to be a thing over the next 12 months, so, watch this space. But if you have got a property with an EPC rating of A to C, the rates are very good at 80% loan to value. They start from 3.99%. There's free valuation and £350 cashback and no arrangement fees. They're available for standard properties, so single self-contained units, and also on HMOs and multi-units as well. Just to recap, Paragon are incredibly generous in terms of their appetite on these types of properties, so 20 rooms or 20 self-contained units. Really interesting to see Paragon really pioneering the green initiative there in the mortgage industry. Now, we've also seen Vida Home Loans reduce their HMO and multi-unit block rates by 0.2%, and their pricing now starts from 3.09%. Vida, the maximum age at maturity for a mortgage with them is 80 for personal borrowing and 90 for limited companies. I should add that the reprice that they've done applies to mortgages for both personal and limited company. You can have 20 mortgages or £4 million worth of borrowing with Vida Home Loans, and there is no minimum income requirement with them. I have mentioned before their servicing is not fantastic. Still at the moment they are working really hard to get on top of this. That's to be commended. But if you are looking for a super quick turnaround at the moment, they are not the lender for you. Fleet Mortgages have reduced their some of their 65% buy-to-let rates, 65% loan to value buy-to-let rates by 5 basis points. What they've also done is make a move where all of their products with 5-year fixed rates the stress test is going to be calculated on the initial pay rate. So what this actually means is that rather than doing 125% coverage, this is for limited companies now, at 5.5%, what they're going to be doing is saying we're going to stress it at 125 at whatever the 5-year fixed rate is. Are they unique in this approach? No. Are all lenders doing it? Also no. So great to see that they're kind of pioneering the more favourable stress tests for 5-year fixed rates. So there you go, that's Fleet Mortgages. We've also seen Kensington Mortgages release some special products to their core range for individuals and limited companies, both for remortgages and also for purchases. And their rates now start from 2.59% at 65% loan to value. These rates have a flat completion fee, arrangement fee, of £4,000. Now, one of the things that is quite unique about Kensington, which might sound crazy, but actually it's really not, is that they will lend in Northern Ireland, which the majority, I'm trying to think of any others actually, of the limited company lenders will not do. So great to see them playing in that space. Now, Kensington do not have a minimum income requirement. They don't mind how many properties you have in the background. And there's there's no maximum age on the maturity of the loan, but you can be no more than 70 at the point of application. So if you're 70, you can have a 25-year term basically. So that's really good. Now, lastly, in the lender space, a change from Landbay, which I'm really, really happy to see, and that is that they've extended their criteria to now accept trading limited companies, so companies which sole activity is not just renting out property. Now, Landbay did used to do trading companies pre-COVID, and that's one of the bits of criteria that got scaled back during the first lockdown, so it's really good to see they've come back into that space. Now, in terms of why this is a big deal, it's fair to say that there aren't many lenders who will lend to trading limited companies. So we've got Keystone, we've got Hampshire Trust, we've got Shawbrook, and there are a couple of others. But it's really great to see Landbay come back into that space, because I think that is definitely one part of the market which is lacking in terms of, well, competition basically. Now, Landbay have released a selection of products specifically for trading limited companies, and what they're saying is that the limited company, whilst its only activity does not have to be letting of property, there must be an SIC code which relates to letting of property. That's really important for them. Now, under these products, they're available for standard properties and also HMOs of up to 6 bedrooms and multi-units of up to 6 units. Rates start from 3.39% at 75% loan to value. Now, with Landbay, they do need you to be earning £25,000 a year, and their maximum age at application is 79. And if you do take a mortgage at 79, or for actually anybody, the mortgage has to mature by your 85th birthday. They don't have any maximum number of properties in the background. So really great to see Landbay coming back into the trading company space. So yet again, a busy week from our lenders, keeping us on our toes. And it's really, like I say, once again, all really positive changes. So that's really, really great to be able to share that with you today. Okay, so the government has announced that applications for the Green Homes Grant Voucher Scheme is going to be closing on the 31st of March this year. So the Green Homes Grant Scheme opened for applications on the 30th of September, which was designed to allow homeowners and landlords to apply for vouchers to pay for green improvements such as loft, wall and floor insulation. And under the scheme, the government funds 2/3 of the cost of the green improvements, up to the tune of £5,000 or £10,000 for low-income households. Now, the government had set aside £1.5 billion for the scheme in 2021. And a lower amount of £320 million for 21-22. However, the government expects to issue vouchers worth a total of just £300 million by the time the scheme closes on the 31st of March. Now, to date, more than 96,000 applications have been made through the Green Homes Grant Voucher Scheme, and more than 39,000 vouchers have been issued. However, research found that 86% of homeowners reported having a poor experience with the application process for the scheme. So what they've now announced is that the scheme is going to be replaced by £300 million worth of extra funding for green home upgrades, as well as new funding delivered through local authorities to help lower income households to cut emissions and save money on bills. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out in terms of the feedback that we've had from landlords who have tried to apply for the green home vouchers. I think it would really, their feedback would echo what the government research has actually found. They found the whole thing really quite painful. I'm trying to think if I've had a single client who's actually had any success with it. I can't think that I have, to be honest with you. So one of those things where it was a really nice sentiment that actually trying to get it over the line was nigh on impossible. So, you know, it's really great that the government are looking to incentivise people and help out in terms of funding the costs of green improvements to property, really kind of just, you know, segueing in from the mortgage side, looking to be greener as well. But I think, you know, in terms of how this new kind of scheme that they're launching is going to land will really be one of those, the devil's in the detail. Okay, our weekly news on the housing market now. So housing demand softened in February, with the average number of prospective buyers registered per estate agent branch at 388, which is a 20% decrease from 487 in January. And this is according to the latest figures released by NAEA Property Mark. Now, what they hastened to add is that this is still the highest figure recorded for the month of February since 2017, where the figure stood at 425. Now, interestingly, supply also fell, with the average number of properties available per estate agent branch at 34 in February, falling from 38 in January. I do wonder if this is just because they've all been bought. I don't know. Everyone's sold and bought already in the rush with the stamp duty. Now, the average number of sales agreed per branch stood at 11 in February, an increase from 10 in January. Year on year, this figure is up from 9 sales agreed per estate agent branch in February 2020 and 7 sales agreed per estate agent branch in February 2019. Now, they also went on to say that the figures also show that the time taken from offer to exchange has hit a record high. The number of property transactions taking over 17 weeks from the offer being accepted to exchanging contracts increased again to 27% from 26% in the previous month, which is the highest figure on record. In terms of why this is, I would suggest this is really just down to the sheer volume of transactions that are going through at the moment. So yeah, of course, things are going to take longer. The mortgage application processing time is taking longer. The solicitors are absolutely swamped. The valuers are rushing around, like crazy. So yes, I think it's understandable that things are taking longer than normal. But if you are thinking about buying something and you've got the stamp duty holiday factored into that, just keep in mind that these numbers, how these numbers are looking and how that could impact you. Some interesting news here. The number of sales made to first-time buyers increased to a 7-month high of 25%, the highest figure recorded by NAEA since July 2020, and an increase from 22% in February 2020. So great to see the first-time buyers are really, buying property. They're not being totally put off. I know the press is always kind of saying that first-time buyers are priced out of the market. There isn't the finance available. But actually these numbers really kind of demonstrate that actually, while we're not saying that there isn't kind of, an issue there, actually maybe things aren't quite as bad as being reported. Lastly, 11% of properties sold for more than the original asking price in February, which is the highest figure recorded for the month since 2016. So yeah, it just looks like the property market just remains busy. I don't think the number of people registering with estate agents coming down is anything to really read into. Obviously, lots of people have been registering at estate agent branches over the last few months. Also, not everybody registers with estate agent branches. A lot of us just go on to Rightmove and do our house shopping there. Apparently, I read an article once which was saying that for the over 30s, looking through on Rightmove is like one of the nation's favourite pastimes. I'm one of those people, by the way. Anyway, so look, good news. The housing market is continuing to hold firm. And our last news story today, which feels really topical because we're going into the Easter break. I'm imagining a few of us will be looking to take some time away, obviously within the UK, from the 12th of April. As I mentioned previously, we're hoping to spend a few days in Wales. Fingers crossed. And actually, the whole UK vacationing, I think we're calling it staycationing, is really going to be a big thing. And so I was really interested to read some information or some research which really talked about where people are looking to invest when they're buying holiday let properties. In terms of what's been going on, the increase in the purchase activity of holiday lets has been increasing really rapidly. So sales of holiday homes near the coast have really surged over the last 6 months, with holiday let mortgages, for properties in Wales almost doubling since September 2020. So Hodgebank have revealed that the most popular destination for holiday let buyers is the southwest at 39%, Wales at 19% and the northwest at 12%. Now, Welsh purchases have almost doubled since September 2020, increasing from 10% to 19%, with the coastlines around the north, including Holyhead and Llandudno, proving hugely popular for holiday homes. Now, this research showed that the top 10 areas for holiday let mortgages are Truro, Plymouth, Llandudno, Exeter, Norwich, Lancaster, Torquay, York, Swansea and Gloucester. Unsurprisingly, the least popular regions, with only 1% of purchases, were Greater London and the East Midlands, followed by the West Midlands and the South East. And not that there's anything wrong with those areas, by the way, but they're just not naturally the kinds of places where people think to go on holiday to. Now, the data also showed that the average age of a holiday let mortgage customer is 51 years old, and these guys are willing to spend £403,000 on a holiday home, which is nearly 2/3 higher than the average house price of £252,000. Now, of those people buying these holiday homes, 35% were remortgaging their own home to pay for it, and the other 65% were taking out a new holiday let specific mortgage. So I hope you find that interesting. I think it's always interesting to understand where other people are looking to invest and where the market is kind of going. And like I say, I think this whole staycationing, I'm not sure I agree with that term, but holidaying in the UK, as it were, is really going to be a very big thing, and not just for the next 12 months, but actually over the coming, I think at least 3 years and possibly longer. I think once people start taking breaks in the UK, they're going to realise just how beautiful it really, really is, and how much we have to offer, internally. In terms of holiday let mortgages, we have covered these off numerous times before. We have some guys at Mortgages for Business and brokers who are really, really experienced in these. They do absolutely loads of them. So we really are a good place to come. If you do want to have a chat with us about holiday let mortgages, we'd be delighted to have a chat with you. That's us for this week. As always, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you taking time to come and hear what I have to say. Please do have an amazing Easter break. I think we all deserve a bit of a nice time. Will we be sunbathing? Will we be skiing? Who knows at this rate? But whatever you do, I hope you have a really great time, and obviously, stay safe. And as always, if you do want to get in touch, we would love to hear from you. 0345 345 6788, or go and have a look on our website, mortgagesforbusiness.co.uk. I will catch you next week.